Here's your daily reminder that the Democrat Party and woke corporations think black people and brown people are too stupid or too helpless to have a photo ID to vote. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Box. You're watching Angela's Soapbox, where I always say what you are thinking. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, liking or rumbling this video, commenting on this video, and of course, sharing this video, especially with your filthy leftist friends, because they truly hate my guts. And for me, that's a badge of honor. Okay, this video is going to be a little bit of a amalgam of things because it's all related. First, let's give the sea troll killing plastic straw to Thom Tillis, the disgusting rhino senator, soon to be ex-senator, I predict, from North Carolina, who thought he was going to be putting his thumb on the scale against Ed Martin. And Trump's like, all right, I'll see you, Ed Martin. I'll raise you Janine Pirro. This is all connected, of course, to January 6th, the 2020 election, and the Voldemort machines, etc., etc. Let's discuss it all, shall we? Okay. So last week I was very upset to see. I made my phone calls, like a lot of you probably did, to Thom Tillis' local offices. This garbage senator from North Carolina. He basically put his thumb on the scale and was like, I'm not gonna vote for Ed Martin to be the U.S. attorney for D.C. because Ed Martin wanted the January 6th defendants to be treated fairly and for them to maybe look at why this happened as opposed to just knee-jerk taking the edited photos and the edited video from the January 6th committee as gospel. And he was like, we need to look in at who actually set this whole thing up. And I mean, I think we all know. So he was like, no, because these were violent rioters. They killed police officers. This lie that the people on January 6th killed police officers it continues on. They're having hearings this last week, having hearings about this. And it's like, when are people going to push back on this more? Because this did not happen. Because if a police officer had been murdered on January 6th, we would have that officer's name and we would know where that prisoner was because they would be in jail for 25 to 30 years at least. Okay. It didn't happen. And yet the left is still dining out on this. Okay. So Thom Tillis lied and said that, police officers were murdered and assaulted. That's a lie. Lie. And that, he was very much against the pardons for the January 6th defendants and all these things, right? And that's why he couldn't vote for Ed Martin. It's like, okay, well, Donald Trump's like, all right, cool. I'm going to pull Ed Martin's, hairs on my face. I'm going to pull Ed Martin's name for consideration, and I'm going to go ahead and install him at the Department of Justice, heading the weaponization of government division. So, touche. And then he's like, and I'm going to put in Judge Janine Pirro, who used to be, ladies and gentlemen, the Westchester County, New York district attorney before she became a judge, before she became a Fox News opinion commentator. I think it's fantastic. I love that he's picking the best people from Fox, like Pete Hegseth and Judge Janine, to be in his administration. Why not? Do it. Fantastic. It's and he's just going to keep putting people up that the left has a problem with, that rhinos have a problem with, and let them do, the 120 days, and then he'll put someone else up there and put someone else up there, and it's he's gonna get what he wants eventually, whether it's continuing to have temporary people to hold this position, or before Thom Tillis finally sees the writing on the wall and decides he better save his political skin and vote for whoever Trump wants him to vote for. Although I don't think it's going to work. He already pulled a new primary challenger, but a guy named Don Brown. Go donate to him. I did. And I think that Thom Tillis is toast. Okay. People will not forget this time. We're all done here. Now, when it comes to Ed Martin, and it comes to obviously things on January 6th, we have to look back as to what precipitated January 6th. Now, we know, most of us in the rabbit hole community understand that the feds, this is a setup, and it was an obvious setup, and there's lots of evidence to support that. I'm not going to go into all that. But we have to think about what precipitated this. And of course, that was the irregular election of 2020 with the Voldemort machines and the Smartmatic software and all that stuff. Well, guess what? Guess what we just came to find out? That one Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, the guy that may or may not have an Epstein Island problem, he secretly met with and funded the lawsuits brought by Smartmatic to the tune of like $26 million. Why would he do that? Weird, right? It's almost like these deep state types have a reason to want the machines to continue on to tabulate our elections. It's almost like the deep state types have a reason to put their thumbs on the scales to make sure that a Trump doesn't get through again. So it's interesting that that's happened. And then last week, finally, Trump finally is told the Department of Justice to get the political prisoner Tina Peters out of jail. If you don't know who Tina Peters is, this case will make your blood boil. She was the county clerk of Mesa County, Colorado. Mesa County is a Republican county. However, in 2020, a very strange thing happened. It went blue. Weird, right? And then Tina Peters was like, okay, something is weird here. And you're supposed to keep records of elections. You're supposed to not erase any data. You're not supposed to erase any servers, et cetera, for, I believe, 18 months, okay? Well, what happened was the Secretary of State of Colorado, I can't think of who it is. I want to say Jocelyn Benson, but she might be Michigan, also crooked. The Secretary of State of Colorado and a representative from the Voldemort machines, you know of the machines of which I speak, the ones that want to sue people for $1 billion for mentioning that there might be switching votes in their algorithms, those people. They came in together and they let it be known that they were going to be taking that server and wiping it. Well, Tina Peters, being an elected official of Mesa County, Colorado, said, whoa, you're not supposed to do this. So she made a copy of the server and she gave it to the sheriff of Mesa County. The sheriff then publicized this, that this is what they were doing. Instead of saying, why are you doing that? They decided to charge Tina Peters with some stupid thing and they threw her into jail for like years and years and years. And in fact, the judge that threw her in jail, completely threw the booger, some Democrat left-wing hack judge. And this woman is in her 60s, I believe, and she has health issues. And those of us who understand this case and understand what a travesty of justice this is, have been like, why isn't Trump talking about this? Like, pardon her. Get her out of jail. This is crazy. Well, finally, last week he did. And I imagine that pretty soon we're going to see a pardon for Tina Peters. And guess who's in charge of the pardons now? Oh, that's right. Ed Martin, the ones you stopped from being the district attorney or the U.S. attorney in D.C. That guy that you were all worried about because he had so many January 6th problems. He's in charge of the pardons now. So be careful what you wish for, you a-holes, because you just might get what you deserve. And I think that is what is going to continue to happen. So whether we're talking about January 6th, whether we're talking about the 2020 election, whether we're talking about the Voldemort machines or COVID, all the things they did to get their machines and their drop boxes and their ballot harvesters, like, it's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. And Trump being so stalwart on getting this economy back in order, getting peace in the world, it's just going to give him even more and more political capital to be able to spend it on these issues where he can be like, where are the hearings on what really happened on January 6th? Where are the hearings on what's going on in the 2020 election? Hey, Mike Johnson, you want to do something about this? Or are you just going to like pretend that you're actually being a leader? Because you're not. And I imagine that Trump's going to be having a say about this pretty soon. All right, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Let me know what you think down below. And I will see you in the next one. I will be done. Bye.